I want to welcome you to the Director's Workshop Day 2. Yesterday we talked about the importance of choosing the right screenplay and understanding that as the director, you need to be in charge of the movie that you're directing, which right now we are talking about directing your life. We talked about how there are different screen plays that were out there that we know now as being amazing, fantastic movies. But yet when they were done originally, people didn't think that they would be great movies and actually criticized them and tried to say they needed to be rewritten. I hope that yesterday started this workshop off for you with a bang. I hope it was enlightening. My desire and my hope is that it started challenging you to begin to take a look at who's in charge of your life, your story, who's writing it, who are you listening to as critics, and does their words really mean anything? Or should you just continue to write your life on your terms, the way you were meant to write it and eventually direct it? Today we're going to continue on that same theme. We're going to be talking more about choosing that right screenplay, that right script for your life. We talked yesterday about how you can change it up. You're the director. You are the one in charge. I want to share a few things from an article that I had come across. This article is written by a director, Danny Rubin. Now, you may know Danny Rubin, or at least you may not know that you know him, but you know his work. He was the one who wrote the screenplay for Groundhog's Day, over and over and over, if you remember that movie. When I was doing the research for this workshop, I wanted to find out what other screenwriters thought about writing a screenplay. And I came across this article and some of the things that he stated in here about writing a screenplay I thought was powerful. And I thought 100% can be used for this workshop, and you can take what he says about writing a screenplay and apply it to your life. One of the first things he states in here, he says, writers write and rewrite. Why is that important? How can we apply that to our lives? I think so many times we have this finality in our life. We believe that because we made a mistake or things aren't going the way that we had hoped or we have steered off path, that it's solid. The ink is on the paper. You can't change it. And that is so not true. As long as you maintain the director seat of your life, you can write and you can rewrite. And in fact, I challenge you to do that. I have made many mistakes in my life, and I have gone through many rewrites of the screenplay of this life that I live every single day. In fact, every day I seek to find ways that I can fine-tune this life that I am living in order to meet the principles that I strive to live by. Now, I mentioned the principles that I strive to live by, and this is important, I believe, because you need to understand the principles that guide you as you move forward. Every director has their style. If you go and take a look at different directors, they are chosen many times for the style that they produce and put on screen. You know that if you're going to watch a Quentin Tarantino movie, it is going to be a little bizarre, have some twists and turns, a lot of blood, a lot of violence. At the same time, if you're going to watch a Tim Burton movie, you know it's going to be, again, a little twisted, some dark, and it's going to have this feeling. Michael Bay, who does movies such as Transformers and many other action-packed movies, if you see that he is directing a movie, you know most likely it is going to have a lot of up-close action that is going to blow you away with big explosions. These directors have established who they are by determining the principles of who they are as a director. These principles guide them in searching out the correct screenplay that they are going to bring to the big screen. In our lives, that's what we need to do. Many times people have lost their principles, or maybe they never even had them. They were just bouncing back and forth from romance to comedy to drama to horror, not really knowing who they were and who their identity was. That identity is established by you sitting down and determining, hey, this is where I want to go. This is who I want to be. I recently had a conversation with one of my teenagers, and I stated, if you can learn to make decisions in life based upon principles and not emotion, you will always find the path that leads you in the direction that you are intending to go. You see, principles are founded and grounded. They are become our identity. But many times, we don't even realize that we have established principles that should not even be. And when I talk about principles, I'm talking about honesty and integrity, kindness, compassion. I know that when I make decisions, and my kids know, my family knows, that when they ask me a question about if they can go do something, or a decision for my family needs to be made, and everyone is looking at me to make that decision. True, the emotion is there. Just as if a director looks at a great screenplay and they read that screenplay and say, this is a great screenplay. There's a lot of emotion and this is going to be a great movie. And if the director is only looking for the result of a good reward and not to establish a long-term foundation in their life, they may grab that up and then they will destroy that screenplay because it wasn't really who they were. It chose that screenplay based upon emotion and not principle. In your life today, I'm asking you to identify principles within your life and set those principles out, sand them down, polish them, and put them on a permanent plaque cemented into your soul. And so that as you move forward, the decisions that you make in life, you need to, first of all, before you make any decisions, stop and ask yourself, how does this align with the principles of my life? Am I making a decision based upon emotion? I, for one, am someone who chooses to not carry on very detailed, important conversations that may have a lot of emotion via text message. I will do it either via a phone call or, if all possible, face-to-face. This is something that I have established as a principle in my life because I know that it is very easy for me to fire off an emotional text. But if I take time out and I stop and I allow my emotions to calm down and then base my decisions of moving forward and my responses moving forward upon principle of integrity, honesty, character, compassion, controlled emotion, then I know that when I do go forward and make the decision, whatever it may be, it was built upon my identity of what my principles are. When you're choosing to write the screenplay of your life, it doesn't matter what has already been written. It is time to rewrite. Because writers write, and then they rewrite. Show it, don't tell it. It says anybody can create a character who opens his mouth and tells us everything that's on his mind. Some people can even make those words funny or poetic or heartbreaking, but movies are first and foremost a visual medium, and the strongest screenplays take advantage of that. What can a character do to show us how they feel or what they're thinking about? How does that apply to our lives? How does that apply to us directing our lives? Show it, don't tell it. You hear that phrase, you can actually twist that and put it into actions speak louder than words. Again, as a director, you have to be conscious of the directing of your life. And putting it in the metaphor of a movie, you have to be conscious of everything that is going on set. How is it going to portray to the big visual, big screen? So as you are working through your life, as you are moving and becoming a better director of your life, or once again engaging in the directing of your life, it is very important that you learn to shut your mouth. Don't speak as much, and don't be quick to speak. Learn to visualize around and see what is around you, and then allow your actions to speak louder than your words. For the actions is what people are going to remember. The actions of what you did and not necessarily what you said. Here at Grit for Life, perfect example, if I did not live the principles that I taught you as the leader of Grit for Life, then you very easily would hear the words that I say, but watch the actions and see they don't match. That would take away the validity and the integrity of what I am telling you. If I tell you your response is your responsibility, but you begin to watch me on social media and watch me lash out at people who attack me, or you watch as I become extremely depressed when I am telling you that you can begin to fight depression and anxiety, doesn't matter what I tell you, I am showing you that I do not believe the very words that I am speaking to you. A good director will understand that. A good director will take that pause, say cut, hold off for a second, re-engage, and allow their actions to speak louder than their words. And as you are choosing a screenplay, the very basis of what you are going to build your life movie on, you need to understand it doesn't have to have a lot of dialogue all the time. For your actions as the main character of this movie will be what people will remember, and it is what will carry you forward as either a legendary director of your life or someone that people will say, yeah, that movie wasn't that great. Write what you know. Write what you know. How many of you have been in contact with people who seem to embellish things? They know everything about all things, and yet clearly they know nothing. This sometimes can paralyze us because we get into groups like that, or we get around people like that, and we feel as if we are inadequate because we are unable to continually talk about so much stuff, and sometimes it makes us feel like maybe we don't have the knowledge like everyone else does. And so we find ourselves stepping out of the director's seat and letting someone else sit in it because we say, wow, evidently they know more than I do. No, my friends, no one knows more about your life and the direction of your life than you do. You are the one that needs to stay in the director's seat. You are the one that knows your ups and your downs. We all have flaws, and you are the only one that knows those flaws. You are the only one that can change those flaws. We all have our emotions, no matter what they are, and only you know what they are and can identify them as they come up, and only you can choose not to let them control you. So as you begin to choose the right screenplay of your life and you begin to write it out and live it out and direct it out in the way that you know. Back to Michael Bay. He is someone who knows action. I love watching Michael Bay movies because I know that when I want something that is powerful and action and heart pumping, he knows it. And he's going to direct it, and he's going to choose the right screenplays. And then there's several other things, but the two of the ones that he kind of closes out with is make it believable and eat your ego. Don't live a fake life. One of the things I learned so many years ago, and it is hard, it is not easy, but is to live me. Either you like me or you don't. You either love me or you hate me. But I am going to live a believable life. I am not going to try to be someone I am not. And I am not going to try to speak to things that I know nothing about. And at the same time, making it believable. So many times I have people say, well, you seem to get emotional sometimes. Like you get on Grit for Life live or TikTok live, or you do some of these videos and you have tears coming down your face. And it's because one thing I learned is that people can always identify a fake. In essence, a very cheap refilming or remake of a movie that should have been a lot better. I don't want that in my life, and you shouldn't either. It doesn't matter what other people are going to say about your screenplay or your movie. You need to make your life believable. You need to be able to look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, today I lived a life that was genuinely me. And this comes back around to eating your ego. Everyone will not always love your screenplay. Not everyone will enjoy your movie of your life. That's okay. They weren't meant to sit in the theater then of your life and be able to enjoy it. This isn't for them. This movie of your life that you are directing, that you are taking charge of, was meant for you. Yes, others will come alongside and watch, and even maybe become supporting actors. And in that, they will become invested, and they were meant to be there. But not at the cost of you, the director. Not at the cost of cheapening the blockbuster hit that you are directing called Your Life. But many times we have to make sure that we are squelching our ego, because what we will do is our ego will begin to become a monster that will never be fully fed. It will always be hungry. And if we are feeding our ego, then we will change the screenplay of our life to meet the desires and passions of other people. And when the curtain closes and all the popcorn has been popped and eaten, and the people are coming in to clean the theater at the end of this movie that you are directing called Your Life, you will be sitting there going, at the very end of it, thinking to yourself, that wasn't what I wanted. Why? Because you didn't choose to squelch your ego. It doesn't matter if everyone doesn't like you. What matters is that you like you. I know that in being a connoisseur of movies, I know that there are movies out there that the critics have totally trashed. And when the director was asked how they felt about what the critic was saying, they laughed. And they said they didn't make the movie. It wasn't for them. I made the movie I wanted to make. I directed it the way I wanted to direct it. And I'm happy with it. What more could you ask for? What more could you want? So today what I want you to do is I want you to begin to dig even deeper about that screenplay. Think back over your time that you have allowed someone to take the pen to the screenplay of your life and start writing it instead of you. Or maybe you wrote something that you look back and you're not happy with. Have you told yourself that you can't change that? Well, if that's the case today, understand that you can. Here and now, you can rewrite the screenplay of your life. Make sure, though, that it is built upon principles and not emotion. It is built upon something that you know, and it is written for you to direct. Make sure that it is believable and that your ego is not a part of it. Now, go grit it. Your response is your responsibility.